Hello, welcome. Thanks for being here, everybody. Nice to see everyone. I can see everybody here on the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Felicia from Sweet Georgia and also the School of Sweet Georgia. And today we are doing our Taking Back Friday live stream, which is something that we do once a month, every month on the second Friday of every month. And it's just an opportunity for us to catch up about all of the things that have been happening in and around Sweet Georgia and the studio. So there's lots to share. This is October. It's the beginning of October. I have club yarns to share today. We're going to talk about some special products that are on my table here. I have some projects to share. There's lots and lots of things going on here. And October is kind of getting into the big, busy month right now. I think it's the busy time. We have also been through several weeks of very full and busy days at the studio. And one of the first things is that September is our anniversary month. And so we celebrated our 20-year anniversary this year. We celebrated with our team. It was wonderful to have many of our folks, including Robin and Vicky, who live outside of Vancouver. They came into Vancouver for Knit City. And so we had this opportunity to get together and just gather and spend some time together because they haven't actually spent very much time with our Vancouver team members. So it was great to have everyone together. And then the other thing that was super great was that in September is Knit City. And Knit City is an event, it's a yarn festival that is put on by the Knit Social Girls, Amanda and Fiona. And this event has grown over the years and become quite a huge event in our annual calendar. And now Amanda and Fiona are alternating the location of the Knit City festivals between Vancouver and Calgary. So those ones will alternate every other year. And then there's also shows in Toronto and Montreal. So those, I believe, also alternate. And so this was the year that it was going to be in Vancouver. And this is the last year that it was at the Peony Forum in Vancouver. And so we're curious to see where Amanda and Fiona take this show next time. But next year it will be in Calgary. But I just wanted to share with you some of the photos, some of the things that happened at the show. Here, let me share this. No, that's not it. I'm going to share this one with you. This is just a few photos from our show, and you can see we brought a loom, we brought my circular sock knitting machine, we had our big giant booth. We saw folks that we haven't seen in a long time. So there's a photo here of Tin Can Knits, Emily and Alexa, that I haven't seen in person for a long time now. And so it's great to catch up with people. There was folks in the School of Sweet Georgia that I'd never met before in person. I see them month after month and week after week on our Zoom calls or online calls, and then got finally a chance to meet in person. There were some folks that I met from so far away. There was a woman who came all the way from Denmark and came here to Vancouver, and then she took a class with an instructor, Linda Marvang from Norway. So that was really interesting as well. She was wonderful to meet. And also, like I mentioned, Linda had come all the way from Norway to teach a class at Knit City. And so if you look up Linda Marvang, she is a fabulous knitwear designer who designs specifically cables and lots of cable knitting work. And so Linda came and stayed for a few days after Knit City to film a masterclass in cable knitting for us for the School of Sweet Georgia. And so that is going to come out next year. So we're very excited to feature that. But this event is always huge. It takes up all of our all of our brain space. Like the whole team spends months dyeing the yarn for this show. They spend all this time packaging. They rent like this giant moving van. Everything gets moved into the moving van. They have a system, and it is so like clockwork now. Every single thing about how the booth is set up, where all the yarn goes, how to load the moving van, how to unload the moving van. It is like amazing to watch this team in action. So I'm really proud of them and thank them for all their hard work because it was a big lot of work. But then also we set up this big lounge area, had everybody come and visit, and we created a page here where we can show you a little bit about sort of Knit City every time that it happens, we're going to update this page on our website now. So we created a page on the Sweet Georgia website for Knit City specifically, because every time a Knit City will happen, we will update this page. And so these are just some of the photos from that weekend. So you can see some yarn, you can see the circular sock machine. We set up a lounge. We brought our Daedalus starling to demo with. There was fiber arts demos, blending board demos, just a lot of things. So if you can ever get yourself to Canada, get yourself to one of the Knit Social events, they are absolutely so well done, so well put together and everything. So yeah, we just wanted to share that one with you. And again, it was super, super wonderful to see everybody at the show. Yes, so if you came to say hello, thank you guys so much for coming to say hello in person. It was wonderful. So thank you to Amanda and Fiona for putting on Knit City, Knit Social, Knit City, and thank you to all the volunteers. Oh, you might see this is my sweatshirt that I got from Knit City. This is, I think, is one of their sweatshirts, one of their merch sweatshirts, but it says knit, crochet, spin, dye, weave, make. Seems like the perfect thing to have and to wear. So I'm really, really glad for my new sweatshirt as well. Now, one of the things that we didn't get a chance to share about, um, and that is that we made like a special product for Knit City that we didn't say anything about because we got so busy and we didn't get a chance to say anything about it. But one of the things that I'd wanted to do because it was our 20th anniversary, was to take an opportunity to kind of look back and bring back a few of our favorite colorways from the past 20 years. I look back at this colorway set and I think a lot about how so many things can happen in the course of 20 years. It's kind of crazy how many things can happen in the course of 20 years. And all of the life changes, how many times we moved, you know, all all these things I feel like are somewhat encapsulated in this little Hexa Hue set that we created. And so you can see from the top, there is one colorway at the very top here that's called River. And that's one of the very, very first colorways that I ever made. And it's interesting now that 20 years later, we are located, our studio is located right next to a river, and we created a new river colorway that is totally different, but it's kind of like bookends. Yes, everybody loves a bookend. I love a bookend. So that is the first one is called River. This second colorway is called Eden, and that is the middle name of my daughter. So Nina's middle name is Eden, and so this is a colorway that we created when she was born. So that was 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago. So that's a colorway that we created. And it was so funny because Nina she picked up the set and she looked at it and she's like, "Hey, that's my middle name. That must be my color. I'm going to crochet with that." So after today's live stream, she's already decided to claim this set and she's going to make something in crochet from the set. So I'm very proud and very excited for her to do that. This third color here is called Honey Fig, and forever, this has been one of my absolute favorite colorways. It's been a tricky colorway to make because since the very beginning, we initially used a dye powder that was like a mixed color, and it was causing us a lot of dye problems, like issues with speckling and errors. And all of these errors are things that we talked about in one of the courses that I taught called, I think it's the Dyeing Intentional Color class in the School of SweetGeorgia. So one of the very first dye classes that I taught was teaching about troubleshooting and how to avoid errors and how to, mix dye stocks to get proper colors and all these kinds of things. And so these are things that I learned by dyeing this particular colorway, Honey Fig. And so Honey Fig has gone through multiple iterations in order to get it to the way it is. I still love this colorway. I think that if you have seen any of the work that I make, it's generally a mix of these colors. It's purples and plums and pinks and some sort of hit of orangey gold. I feel like all of my projects basically are that sort of combination. So that is absolutely one of my favorite colors. This fourth colorway, this one here with the dark purple and the bright yellow, this one was called Night Owl, and that is the color that we created when my son was born. So that was almost 12 years ago. And I remember distinctly because my son never slept. He didn't like to sleep. He still doesn't like to sleep. Sleep is not a favorite thing for him. And I remember being up a lot in the middle of the night. And so this colorway was called Night Owl. And I love that as well. You can also see it's a little bit of a combination of purples and yellows, which is a little bit of my thing. I think Charlotte will say that's definitely your thing. um, yes. And then this fifth color is one that we made that um, it did really, really well. I mean, it was very, very popular, but it was also very, very tricky to dye. And so this colorway, this fifth colorway is called Kill Bill. And so if you've ever seen that movie, it's a Quentin Tarantino film. It's an older film now, but Uma Thurman is in it, and she wears this amazing yellow, bright yellow, just sort of bodysuit. It's kind of a bodysuit. It's kind of a suit, leggings, and this really just yellow, bright yellow top with white racing stripes on it and black racing stripes on it. And then obviously, I mean, her job in the movie is she's a bit of an assassin. So there's a little bit of that going on. And so this colorway is one that I made that was just for fun, but it was a little bit tricky to dye because we needed the black to be perfectly to stay in one spot, not to have that black dye drift anywhere and make the rest of the colorway gray or muddy or anything like that. The yellow had to be super bright, super sharp. And then, of course, we have like these splashes of red to kind of mimic, splashes of blood. And they also could not bleed. We didn't want any orange anywhere. It just had to be red right in the spot where we said it was going to be. And so yeah, it was like a dying challenge, but so fun to make and really fun to look at. And yeah, I'm excited about that. And the last one is called Maple, and it's just a reference to us definitely being here in Canada. I was born in Vancouver, but then mostly raised in Toronto. I lived in Toronto from 2 until 12. And so all of my sort of young growing up years, my younger years were all in Toronto, where we would experience all four seasons. It was beautiful. We had snow, we had piles of snow, fall, we had colored leaves, and we had a giant maple tree in my backyard. And because it was a giant maple tree and the maple tree would shed all of its leaves in the autumn, me and my two brothers and my dad and my mom, we would spend quite a lot of time outside raking the leaves, bagging the leaves. This was like a whole thing that we did. We don't do this here in Vancouver at all. We don't have like any leaves to sweep up. So the kids have not had this experience of bagging autumn leaves, but that was something that we did when we were growing up. And so it's just a very, very strong core memory for me, for sure. And so these 6 colorways, I love them. They are super fun. They're super, super fun. Um, if you're wondering what you can make with some of these, one of the things that I have been thinking about is that when I knit socks, these are all dyed on Tough Love socks. So it's a sock yarn, fingering weight yarn. Um, when I knit socks, I've found that my socks generally weigh, like one sock might weigh about 28 grams, like a full sort of sock. So when I make two socks, yeah, I might use about 60, 70 grams worth of yarn for a pair of socks. So if you were to adjust your socks, you could probably make one short sock, like one ankle length sock with each one of these mini skeins. So if you had two packs, you could make actually 6 pairs of ankle socks, if that's what you would like. Or, you could absolutely mix and combine them, add a neutral color in between. There's lots of patterns that I love. Vera Valimaki's, she's got that stripe study. I love that. I could knit that over and over again. Just things like that. Because all of these colors, we tried to get a set that would kind of blend in. So we've got blue moving into a blue purple, moving into a purple gold, into a gold, gold, more gold, and then gold orange. So we wanted a little bit of a fade with all of those as well. There were so many colorways that we could have picked from, but we wanted to choose a few that were kind of like more special and a little bit iconic for me. And so I really love this set. Yes. So yeah, that is the Hexa Hue for our anniversary. And so if you guys recognize some of these colorways, I think that that could be really, really fun. Fantastic. Yes, Deborah is suggesting the lights at night wrap is something that you could use. They're all mini skeins, so you can mix and blend them, make them into hexa hues or hexi puffs. Yeah, and then make put them all together or something like that. That would be fun as well. So that is one of the things that I wanted to share. The other thing that I wanted to share is that October. We always talk about October being Socktober. And so every October, we challenge each other to knit socks. I do remember the first time knitting my first ever pair of socks. I was really nervous about it. I had to ramp up to it. I had one pattern that I found on Ravelry that was a free pattern. I ended up making that recipe or that sock pattern over and over and over again for years. And it was just a top down, one by one ribbing for X number of inches, and then you knit a leg, and then Dutch heel. It just followed that exact same recipe forever and ever. Um, and then only later started to branch out into learning how to knit socks from the toe up, learning how to knit two at a time socks. Now, all of these techniques are things that we teach on the School of Sweet Georgia. So if you have ever been curious about learning how to knit socks, knitting socks for the first time, we have resources and courses and patterns and everything that you could possibly need to lead you through that entire process. And so this photo here is actually socks that have been knit by hand by Rachel Smith from Woolen Spinning. And so this is a course that she's taught for us for the School of Sweet Georgia. I reference this class a lot because I absolutely love it. It was it was shot these socks are all made with her hand spun yarn. And so that's what I found always the most amazing thing is that she spun all of her own fingering weight yarn and then knit socks with them. And she had this massive collection of all of these beautiful hand spun, hand knit socks. And so that's always inspired me on this journey of continuing to make socks. Socks that you've made yourself are so comfortable. They feel the best and they're wonderful to gift and to give to others as well. So this is something that we celebrate. And if you are making socks in October, then we'd love to see the socks that you make. You can join us in the community. There's a link there to the community, and we're talking about Socktober. I will highlight one thing in the community that I saw recently, and that was Meg. Meg Hansen has been cranking socks on her new CSM. I think she got a CSM last December, last January, and she's been making striped socks. And you can see that she's made striped socks in her husband's football team colors. So there's some Minnesota Vikings socks that are so, so cute and adorable. And I love seeing them. They're wearing their socks while they're watching the game. It's absolutely fantastic. Our team is just black and silver. So they might not look as fun as the purple and yellow. So that is one of the things that's been going on. So socks, I should probably also let you know that because of Socktober, we do have our sock yarn sale happening at the same time. So the Socktober yarn sale is happening from now until October 14th. So basically, our fingering weight yarns are currently on sale. So you can check those out. Now, I did want to mention also that we are continuing to ship to the US. We, like I mentioned last time in last month, we managed to work on a lot of things behind the scenes in order to make sure that the yarns that we have that are spun in Canada, that they can go to the US with no problem at all and kind of like shipping as before. Currently in Canada, we are shipping to most like obviously major cities in Canada, even though Canada Post is on strike, we have alternate shippers. The trouble is that alternate shippers will not ship to sort of rural addresses. So if you are in a rural area, we also have another set of suppliers that we can work with. And so we're working with possibly Purelator or DHL. So if you have any questions about getting yarn to your location, please just message us. You can email us and we can help you out with all of that. But we are continuing to ship as per almost usual. Almost. Now, the next thing that we want to share is our Winterful Weave Along. So this is just a heads up, actually. This is just a really, giving you advanced notice of something that we are doing in November. And so last November, we started this idea of Winterful Weave Along. And the whole idea of this is to do a weave along where it doesn't matter if you are using a rigid heddle loom or if you are using a multi-shaft loom. We want this to be a weave along where everybody can participate. And so we're looking for weave structures that people have in common or themes or ideas that we can share in common as we weave something together. And so this year, the theme is stripes, plaids, and tartans. It kind of goes along with the course that I released earlier this year for the School of SweetGeorgia called Stripes, Plaids, and Tartans. And so in that class, I created a little scarf pattern that's called the Pacific Plaid Scarf. And I wove that on my loom. It was in 2/2 twill. It was with a little bit of a finer yarn. And I wove that with my multi-shaft loom. And so then we recreated that same plaid pattern and we put it in Trifecta Fine. So Trifecta Fine is Sweet Georgia's newest yarn base. It is kind of like a woolly, untreated blue-faced Leicester wool mixed with mohair, mixed with silk. It's a wool that will full, it will bloom, it will blossom, it will do all those things that wool should do. And it makes a beautiful, beautiful warm fabric. So we use that, set it at 12 ends per inch on a rigid heddle loom, and wove this pattern, which is called the shoreline checks. And so this is the pattern that we want to weave together for the November weave along. So you can choose, if you have a rigid heddle, you can choose to weave it in this plain weave. If you have a multi-shaft loom, you can weave it as a 2/2 twill. You can choose whichever you like. You could also weave the plain weave on a multi-shaft loom. There's lots of different ways to do this. So the goal is really just to play with different colors. So in this scarf sample that we have here, Greta actually wove this sample and we wove it in 4 different colors. But if you want to, add and combine different colors, this first set of colors, this first 4 is what was in the pattern, but there's also another color set where you have a different sort of colorway, or you could mix and combine any of these colors and just play around with what happens when you interlace these colors together. So that is just a heads up for what we are going to be doing in November. And so if you want more information, we have it here on our website under community. We put Winterful Weave Along here and you can see all of the notes. So this one is, from the course where we're learning about how to make yarn windings to create a design for plaid or for like a tartan style design. And so you can design your own if you don't want to use either of the ones that we've created. But this is the Pacific Plaid and this is the Shoreline Check. So 2 very different options, but actually based on the same grid design. So this is the Knoll Merino, and here we have the Trifecta Fine. So those are all the dates. The patterns are available now. You can check them out. You can download the patterns. You can sort of acquire your supplies, bring all those things together, and then we will start weaving in November for all of that. Fantastic. We'll have more information about this coming out as we go along. So that is that. Now, what else do we have to share? Let's go back to let's go back to Socktober stuff. So Socktober, we have actually just yesterday, my class for the circular sock machine just launched yesterday. So this is a class that we've been wanting to do for a long, long time. We had actually lots of people asking if I would teach a class on circular sock knitting, and we weren't sure if people really needed it. And so in the end, after a couple of years, we decided we're finally going to do it. And so this year, we focused on making this course, Circular Sock Machine Foundations, because we're going to have additional follow-up classes later. So this first course is really about learning about the machine, how to set it up, how to get the tension all dialed in properly, how to make some tension swatches, how to cast on, how to make your cast on bonnet, and then from there, learn how to crank um, a full sock on the machine from start to finish with a hung hem, stockinette sock, work your heels and your toes on the machine with a short row technique. It is fantastic. We all of these socks that you see in this photo here, all of those socks are cranked basically using this exact technique that I share in the class. And so we show multiple different ways of changing colors to make stripes, how to do contrasting heels and toes. We show how to do a mock rib sock. So if you want to make a fabric that cinches in a little bit more, the mock rib is the way to go. So that's something we also taught in this class. This class does not include anything to do with the ribber. So you can just have your machine and one cylinder, and you can do all of the things in this class. So I am excited about this. And next year, because Audrey's asking, will there be a flatbed sock instructions in the future? Yes, we actually already filmed one. So Barb Barone, who teaches our machine knitting classes, filmed 4 classes with us. The first one was the basic class, the beginner class, and then she filmed some troubleshooting. She filmed a hat class, she filmed a lace class, and she filmed knitting a sock on a flatbed knitting machine. And so that is going to come out next year for October. So next Socktober will be flatbed sock knitting, and then the year after that, the goal is to have a ribbing class for the circular sock machine. So we will add the ribber to the machine and we'll make ribbed socks. I need a couple of years to practice. But that is also coming. That's what we're going to be working on. Can you use a 3D printed CSM for the class? You should be able to. I don't have a 3D printed CSM, but I do talk about how the goal of this class is really to learn how to change the settings of your machine to produce the kind of fabric that you want for socks, to be able to measure your tension, to be able to do calculations to figure out what kind of sock you need to make, like how many leg rows do I need? How many foot rows do I need? How do I work heels and toes? All of those heels and toes things can be worked on your 3D printed CSM. Um, the one thing that I did mention is that in my circular sock knitting machine, the yarn carrier goes around the cylinder stays in place. And then for some 3D printed machines, you'll find that the yarn carrier stays in place, but the cylinder moves around and around and around. And so I haven't had experience with how that all works and feels, but at the end of the day, the idea is still the same. You're working with latch hook needles that form your stitches, and so once you understand how the latch hook needle forms knitted stitches, you should be able to do all of the things that I talk about in the class. Fantastic. Yes, very excited to hear about everybody's experience with the CSM class. I know Meg has gone through all of our workbook. Joseph from our community also went through our workbook and our pattern. So yeah, I got lots of great feedback from them and made adjustments. So hopefully it's all very clear. But again, I am here to answer any questions you guys might have as we go through all of it. And to follow up with more sock things, I did have a conversation with Grayson Erlbacher, who is the general manager for Erlbacher Knitting Machines, which is where my machine came from. And so for the podcast episode that came out last Wednesday, we had a great conversation about the history of the machine, how her father started this company, started the knitting machine side of their company because they do other things as well, talked about the community around CSM, talked about the crank-in and all of these kinds of things. So it was a really, really lovely conversation. You can find it on anywhere that you find podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can also find us on YouTube. We do a video version of all of our podcasts as well. And then the episode that was just before that was with Andrew Bryson. And Andrew Bryson teaches weaving. He teaches specifically band weaving, inkle weaving, things like that. He does all sorts of different kinds of weaving. But we are going to also be working with Andrew in the future on doing an inkle weaving class for the School of SweetGeorgia. And so after last Wednesday's episode, we're actually going to take a break from publishing new episodes of the podcast for a couple of weeks because I am going to be traveling for a number of weeks. I am actually leaving this afternoon for a trip, and then I'm back for 2 days, and then I'm leaving again. I'm going to be going to Hong Kong for 10 days, and then I'll be back, and then I will be leaving for another couple of weeks to the Yukon for about 10 days or so as well. So October and November is going to be a little bit chopped up because of all of these travels and things like that. And there's going to be traveling and then catching up and traveling and catching up. And so that's why we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from the podcast for the next couple of weeks. But we have like more than 100 some episodes, like 100 and almost 120 episodes. So there's lots to listen to if you need something to listen to. And then we also have lots of previous videos on our YouTube channel as well. So there's all that. Now, while I am away, I'm still going to aim to check in with our community. So, if you haven't heard, in June of this year, we started a brand new space that we're calling the Sweet Georgia Community. And this is a space that you can join and chat with all of the people who are making things in our multi craftual community. So, you can see, like, just from my sweatshirt, this is all the things that we're doing. We knit, crochet, spin, dye, weave, make all the things. And there are dedicated chat spaces for each one of these different crafts. And yeah, you're seeing the most amazing, amazing projects come out in this community. People are putting in so much incredible work, and there's so much inspiration, and the fact that people share with each other, it just inspires other people to try new things and make new projects. I think that because of a couple of members of our community, I have added so many sweater patterns to my Ravelry queue. I'm going to have to sort through that soon. But there's lots and lots of ideas in that community. So if you haven't joined us on Circle yet, I really, really hope that you will come and find us there. And it's kind of like a private, kind of cozy space that is away from social media. It is away from algorithms. It's away from ads. And it's hopefully just a place where you can enjoy the craft that you're interested in. So I hope that you will come and find us in there. Now, let's move into the thing that we always talk about every month. And the thing that we talk about every month is our Secret Stash Club. So, Secret Stash Club is our monthly yarn subscription. It's a yarn colorway of the month kind of club. And so we make a new colorway every month. We put it on different base yarns every month. And then every quarter, we do a different spinning fiber. So in October, we have a yarn. Now, I wanted to preface this by saying that we had initially made the whole club. We dyed the club on all of these skeins of a different base yarn, and we were like fully prepared. We'd even gone so far as to knit sample projects from this original yarn, everything. And then all of these changes happened in August with sort of the announcement of tariffs and things going into the US being tariffed and things like that. And so we did kind of like a 180-degree turn and switched the base yarn for the October Club um, in order to make sure that it would be considered Kuzma compliant and it could go into the States without causing any sort of tariff troubles for our club recipients in the US. So, just wanted to let you know that I'm very, very proud and thankful for the team for sort of making this quick change and re-dyeing the entire October Club in order to get you this colorway that I'm very, very, very excited to share with you. So let me show you what they created because it's awesome. So This is the color that we created for October. It's meant to be about the pumpkin patch and about Halloween. And I have lots and lots of fabulous memories of Halloween and growing up. You probably do as well. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and my mom would sew all of our costumes. And I do remember, like one year, uh, I was a Queen of Hearts. One year, I dressed up as a geisha. One year, my brother dressed up as a ninja. My other brother dressed up as a giant pumpkin. And so my mom sewed this giant orange pumpkin costume for my youngest brother. And it was really super cute when you look back at it now. Um, but yeah, it was really, really, October has always been this month of just making costumes. And so I wanted my kids to also have that experience of knowing that our costumes are things that we make and that we create. And so I'm very, very excited for this year as well. We don't have that much time to make these costumes, but Nina has decided, she's 9, she's decided she wants to dress up as a Starbucks barista. So that's her thing that she wants to do this year. And my son, whose name is Russell, he is going to dress up as Russell from the movie Up. And so we're really excited about that as well, because I kind of feel like this might be the last year that he can be Russell from Up because yeah, he's getting older. But that'll be really, really fun. So we have to make like this little costume for him that's kind of like a Boy Scout costume with all the badges. And then he's going to hold a bundle of balloons. I think it's going to be it's going to be fun. But in any case, Halloween and going to the pumpkin patch and this whole thing of all the things that you do in October are super, super wonderful and fun. So just wanted to have a chance to celebrate all of that. And so this is the colorway that we created for October. It's called Pumpkin Patch. We re-dyed the whole thing on a single sock blank, which I think is actually really lovely because then you get to see how the colors really, you get to see orange that pops really well. You get to see the green that pops really well. Previously, we had dyed it on a skein, and it creates a totally different effect. The colors get mixed up a little bit more and mixed and blended when you actually knit with it. But in this case, the colors stay clean and separate. And so you can see from here the gorgeous project that was created. And this is the shawl that was knit. The sample was knit by Elaine. And the design of this shawl is actually called Heathered Sunset and is designed by Tabitha Hedrick. And love, love this pattern. This is a pattern that you could use for so many different things. It's obviously great for these gradient sock blanks because you can see the colors fading down through the shawl. You can see the orange really well. You can see the tip that is just like it's a trimmed in that green color. I absolutely love this shawl pattern. So the shawl pattern actually is uh, Bridget has added it to our community. So if you're a member of the Sweet Georgia community, you can pop in there and there's a pattern library and you can download this pattern for free during a limited time. Otherwise, the pattern is available for sale. We have that on our shop. That's where we put the link to the shop. You can buy it from the shop, or if you're a member of the Sweet Georgia community, you can get it on there for free for a limited time. So that is available for you as well. Now, one thing that we wanted to mention is that we are reformatting a lot of our patterns and things like that. And so the pattern that we have up there has not yet been reformatted, but it will be in a couple of days. And so if you come back and you re-download a new version of it, you can get that in a couple of days as well. But yeah, you can see if you want to see how big the shawl is, that's what it looks like in real life. And it's like, yeah, you could wear it as a nice little kerchief like that. It actually fits perfectly. Yeah, that looks really, really lovely. So I love it. So thank you so much to Elaine for knitting the sample. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, just a reminder, as always, if you want to sign up for the club, the deadline for signups is always the 15th of the month. And so if you want to receive November's club, you'll have to sign up by October 15th, which is next Wednesday, I think it is, next Tuesday. And yes, Audrey saying the shawl is giving an autumn woodland fairy vibe. Yes, I love it. Yes. And I actually have multiple projects going on right now for the November Club. I am knitting something. I am apparently weaving something. I have knit some socks. It's really a really interesting color that I'm very, very excited to share with you guys. November is one that I've been looking forward to for a while. So excited to have you guys see that very, very soon. But in any case, deadline for signups for Secret Stash will be the end of October 15th. So October 15th. Fantastic. What else do I have? Oh, yes. So I have a couple of more things that were on my table that I could also share with you because we were speaking about patterns that are available inside the Sweet Georgia community. We often are putting patterns that you can download in the pattern library there. And so one of the ones that we've added is one that was made back in 2013, I think it is. This was designed by Shannon from So Very Shannon. If you know on Instagram, So Very Shannon. Um, and so this one is called the Barbara cowl. And it was very, very simple, beautiful, textured sort of scarf pattern. You join the two ends to make it into a cowl. I'm trying to find the end of this. Ah, there's the end. And originally, we had this in a different yarn that has since been discontinued. So we finally had the opportunity to reknit this pattern in a different yarn. And so we reknit it in the Trifecta Fine with the Silk Mist. Can loop it one more time. If you want it to be super, super cozy. But yeah, this one is Trifecta Fine held together with Silk Mist to make this really beautiful, woolly, squishy kind of warm yarn that's a little bit thicker and it works beautifully with the texture of this pattern. So this is a pattern that you can also get on that pattern library on the community right now. So it is called the Barbara Cowl. Fantastic. And what else is on my table here? Oh, yes, I wanted to show you again. I have the shoreline check. So if there's two scarves, both of these scarves basically fit on one rigid heddle loom. So this is the one that is a little bit more plaid like. This is one where you're weaving the picks to your weft picks match your warp ends. So if you have like four warp ends of orange, then you would weave four weft picks of orange and so on and so forth. So you kind of match your weft picks to your warp. And then for the second scarf, you kind of do the plaid just at the two ends, and then in the middle, you weave with one color because of the way that the color distribution works out with these different the four colors that are in the scarf. There's going to be more of one color than the other color, so we use that color to weave the majority of the second scarf. So you get one big long stripe, and with the plaid at the ends. So that is actually quite a long warp that you can put on your rigid heddle loom and you get two full length scarves out of that. So it's quite impressive. So that is all coming up. Now, if you would like to learn more about how to weave these things, how to set up these projects, we do have, again, our School of SweetGeorgia that we have 120 classes on right now, more than 120 classes. You can learn to spin, you can learn to weave, you can learn to dye, you can learn to knit, crochet, do tapestry weaving. All of these different things are available. But if you want to concentrate on just one of these sort of uh, categories at a time, we also have memberships just for that. So if you only want to focus on the weaving courses, then we have a membership just for weaving. If you want to focus on spinning alone, you can do just that as well. So that is coming up. And then for next year, what we have is we have a couple of classes that are coming up that are already planned and that we're putting on the roadmap. And one of them is spinning cotton with Rachel Smith. So, like I mentioned before, Rachel Smith from Wool and Spinning, she's taught a number of spinning classes with us. And she taught how to spin all different sheep breeds of wool, so long wool, fine wool, primitive wools. She's done all of that. And then she also did one series that was all luxury fibers, including silk, camel, yak, a lot of fibers like that. And then we did a whole series with Kim McKenna on bast fibers, and now we're coming back to Rachel to learn about cotton fibers. So, specifics of spinning cotton. This will be really, really interesting and very, very different from anything that we've ever done before. And then, like I mentioned before, we have a couple of classes with Barb coming out as well on machine knitting. So, machine knitting lace, machine knitting socks, like we mentioned, flatbed socks, and the ribbed hat as well. So you can see there is a photo. I think that's Greta. That's Greta modeling one of the hats that was made on the flatbed knitting machine. So that's going to be great. And my waffle weave class is going to come out eventually when it comes out. Fantastic. Um, Wonderful. Yes. So just double checking the chat just to check. And yes, Audrey's asking if this shawl is one sock blank. Yes. So this entire shawl is just one sock blank. You could also make this entire shawl with just one skein of fingering weight yarn. Yes, it's a great one to have. It's kind of just, yeah, top down triangle shawl with some lace. Really, really lovely. Could be used for so many different yarn options. And Bridget has also posted a link to more information on the club shawl samples. So if you need more details about this shawl and how to make it and all of that kind of stuff, you can find that on our website. Sometimes people like to wind their entire sock blank into a ball first, or you can also knit straight from the sock blank. So that's how it looks when it's in the sock blank form. You can unravel it and knit straight from the sock blank if you like. You can wind it into a ball and then knit like that if you like, or you can also wind it into a hank, wash it to get all the kinks out of it if you like, and then wind it back into a ball and then knit with it. So it all just depends on your own personal preference of how you like to work with a sock blank. But that is what that looks like. Fantastic. So yeah, I have like many, many different projects that are on my loom right now that I can't share with you. So there's lots of stuff that's going on. Um I have the November Club is over there. The November Club is on my knitting machine, like right next to me here. And behind me is the waffle weave thing. Downstairs, I'm working on a rug sample with the new Dwella yarn from Gist. I posted about that recently as well. And on my knitting machine, we are, I'm I have to change the cylinder from the 60 cylinder to the 48 cylinder, and then I have to take out all the needles and put back in all the needles. And so I'm just kind of I'm hesitating because of all the needles that I have to put in. It takes about 5 minutes, but I don't know why I'm having a bit of a mental hurdle with that right now because I have to change it to the 48 stitch cylinder so that I can crank my 3-ply crepe yarn, my 3-ply hand spun crepe yarn into a sock there. And then I will have something to show you guys next month, hopefully. Wonderful. So these are all the places that you can find us. We are in Vancouver, in South Vancouver, near the river, and we open the studio the second Saturday of every month. So that will be tomorrow. And so if you are in and around the Vancouver area and you want to come and knit and hang out with some of the folks in the Vancouver sort of community, you can find us at the studio there. Otherwise, these are all of the various websites that we have. So sweetgeorgiayarns.com. Our shop is at shop.sweetgeorgiayarns.com. The school is at schoolofsweetgeorgia.com. And I have my weaving stuff at Low Meets Loom. And if you don't want to miss anything, you can sign up for our newsletter because that's where all of the information is. And yeah, We really, really look forward to hopefully either knitting socks with you this month or weaving with you next month or just hanging out with you inside the community over the next coming weeks and months. Thanks so much for being here, guys, and I will see you next month. Bye for now.